Welcome back, everybody, to YouTube. My name, of course, is Seth, and this is Somos Mas. This is the podcast version of what we do over on our website. And we've got so much to talk about tonight. Joining me, as you can see already, we've got Earl over here, Jacob over here, and we're going to get right into our podcast. So if you're joining us here live in the chat on YouTube, you can, of course, get your questions read on the air. You'll be on the podcast with us. You'll be part of the discussion surrounding New Mexico United. We are going to have a little bit of a format change. So if you're familiar with what we do on the show, we're going to start breaking up the show into two parts. We did it a couple weeks ago, but we're going to do it a little bit differently. We're going to kick off our show each and every week from now on with New Mexico United news. We're going to get that in there, so that way we can get that edited and out the door first. That way we have information for you guys ahead of match day, and then we're going to continue recording and pick up a general sports discussion for a part 2 of the episode that'll come out later in the week. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to talk about all this on the podcast here in just a minute when we go through our housekeeping. But just want to say thank you guys so much for being here. We do appreciate each and every one of you that comes in and downloads our show, subscribes, leaves us all sorts of fun reviews and stuff. We appreciate all of that. And if you are here with us live on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the channel. That way you get notifications, and make sure you hit the little bell or whatever it is. I think it's a bell. I know that's what all the YouTube kids say. Make sure you hit that bell, turn that bell red or whatever it is. That way you get notifications when we go live here on our channel.
Just stop. Just stop.
That was the most boomer. Yeah, that's the most boomer thing I've ever heard in my life. So.
Hey, you know what? I am the old man of the group here, so I got to be a little bit boomerish at some point. So, but yeah, that's it for us. We're gonna get into our show. Hopefully, you guys are here with us, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. Let's get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Somos Mas, the official podcast of Somos Mas NM, and your source for the latest news on New Mexico United and weekly sports discussion from around the sports world. My name, of course, is Seth Bidoff. Joining me this week on our show, we have the one, the only Jacob Terrell, and we've got the indomitable Earl Nieto. Guys, how you guys doing? It's been a fantastic week. Matchweek 1 finally happened, and we're kicking off our show this week with a new format. We're going to talk New Mexico United to start off. That way we can get this information out to the public as soon as we possibly can, and then we'll continue recording a general sports discussion later on in the show. That way we can have that broadcast later in the week. Match week, well, I guess technically match week 2, if you go by the league calendar. Match week 2 is in the books. United kicked off their season this past week, and I know that we were all kind of disappointed. Burning question of the week: would you rather start the season with a win and then lose like the next couple matches or have negative results the next couple weeks, or would you rather start the season with a loss and then turn it around?
That's a good question. I think I'm gonna side with what's going on now and start the season with a loss, because there's 31 weeks left, or 30 weeks left, or whatever the hell the count is. So there's plenty of time to right the ship and stop hitting the panic button. If you are an El Paso or Phoenix fan, you can go to hell.
That did not take long at all. Earl, welcome back to the show. Earl obviously was not here last week, so Earl, we're glad to have you back. And your takes are, I think so. I am. Earl's takes are fantastic. So thank you, Earl, for kicking our show off that way. I think it's gonna be a very fun show tonight.
He is the Stephen A. Smith of this podcast, no doubt. No doubt. I do agree with him, though. Out of the two options that you give us, losing the first one and then winning a couple or having positive results, as you said, after that match, definitely better than a couple questionable results, but it still sucks. Still really sucks losing this first one.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is the third year in a row that United has not started the season with a win. You kind of hope that the club would break that at some point. And I know that this past weekend it was RGV's first time winning on an opening weekend. So you've got two different two different sets of feelings going on there. You know, obviously you want to start the season out on the positive note. You don't want to have, you know, the negative the negative feelings and aura around the club, especially after how promising the preseason ended. You know, we ended with a great win over Phoenix Rising on the road, and then, you know, the three prior wins to that. And, you know, Jacob, you and I were talking on the show last week. We had our predictions in there. You know, you said 4-0, I said 3-0. I'm going to ask you straight up, were you overconfident in how the match would go? Did you overestimate RGV?
I don't know. Like, um, I rewatched the match last night, and I don't. I still don't know what to make of it. I still don't know if it was RGV being better than I thought, or if it was just us just coming out and just laying an absolute egg. Uh, it was a rough watch. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of bad passes, a lot of sloppy play in the midfield, which and then a lot of timidness. And I didn't expect to see that. I mean, I came out, said we were going to win 4-0, thought we were going to make a statement, and then just nothing from the attack and nothing from the midfield.
Jacob, can I have you hold your thought real quick? So I have a fan watching today, and I just got a text asking about the fucking llama. So I gotta at least put it on, acknowledge the fucking llama. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is for my wife because she buys me stupid things such as this llama. And you know what? I'm hoping it brings good luck for next weekend. So that's about as far as the llama goes. Um,
Yeah, I think it's just a
yeah.
belated Easter dress up for you, Earl. I think that's what that is.
Well, you see, I
Sounds
like
great.
llamas, and my wife knows I like llamas, and she was trying to be sweet and sentimental and shit. That's what I got.
Oh man, this show is off to a
Sorry about that.
fantastic
Carry on.
start.
Carry on.
Okay,
Carry on. Carry on. Welcome
this
back,
is,
Earl. Welcome back.
this is it. This is the best. You don't get this kind of llama talk any other podcast, guys. This
No.
is why you come here. It's for the llama talk. Um,
The
but
llamas,
anyways,
the
as I was
bees,
saying,
the magic, you know, we do it all here on
yeah,
Somos Mas and M.
the wrestling. I mean, we really are Moss. We
We
really are more.
we absolutely are.
Um,
Yeah, if you're here in the chat with us, you know, you can of course, you know, again we talk about you can be part of the show. Get shoot your questions, your comments in there, and we'll answer them throughout the show. If you want to see Earl put his hat back on, tell us that too. We'd love to have that. I think that'd be a great visual for the YouTube folks. So
It's on
appreciate you guys being
demand.
here.
It's on demand. So if I see it in the chat, put the hat back on or llama or anything like that. We have 5 people watching, so there's 5 opportunities to get this llama hat back on.
Looking forward to seeing that throughout the night. So again, please join in the discussion with us. Earl, it was brought to my attention last week that you sent in a prediction of 20-0 for United. Do you think
it was 15.
15? Oh, I thought it was
15.
20. Okay, we brought it down to 15.
No, it's
So
15.
So that is fake news because it was not 15 and it was also not 20. It was actually the
17.
year. It was the number of years that I've been alive. 28.
28.
Oh.
Okay. So I mean, I know we
So
look
those
good.
of you doubting United, those of you doubting United, like El Paso fan Jerry Murillo and Phoenix fan Vagina Plaster, fuck off.
The vagina plaster is one of my favorite things ever invented on this podcast, and it's just hilarious.
Well,
Oh man. Whew. Okay, so rewind. I I actually don't know what Earl thought pregame because he bailed on us last week. 4-0. He's saying 4-0, which was the same as me. And I don't. I don't understand. I don't understand how we looked so aggressive and so crisp 2 weeks ago in the preseason, and then we go down there to face the Fighting Ron Patels, and we're scared for some reason. I don't understand. It just blew my mind, and it's still, even after rewatching it, I just watch it and go, "What are we doing?" Um, I don't know. I I have ways that, or I have some things that I want to see next match, but we'll talk about that here in a bit. So the only good thing that came out of this match was that we have decided to have, we as in me and Seth, Earl just got dragged into it because he wasn't here last week. Um, we've decided to do a season long lineup prediction game challenge, whatever you want to call it. And so far, Earl sucks at it, which makes me happy. Um, and I'm winning. So that was literally the only thing that came out of the first week that was any good.
You know who else sucks at like anything?
Vagina plaster.
Yes.
Yes.
Talking about our little challenge there that we're doing, um, I had Tanari in my lineup, and I think Jacob, you did as well.
I think we
Now,
all did
yeah, I think Earl might have as well. I don't remember Earl's off the top of my head, but it
because it was so bad.
looking at the
I'm
match
sorry, I
notes.
missed. I missed the start of that because I was reading some comments in the chat. What were you saying?
Oh, Jacob was just dissing your lineup and saying how bad it was. So,
No, before he did that, what were you
oh,
saying?
what was I saying? I was saying we all had Tanari in there, and when we got the match notes from David Carl the night before, Andrew wasn't listed. So obviously something came up either after that came out or Saturday morning, to where Tanari wasn't able to play. Had he been able to be active for the match, do you think he would have actually been in that starting 11?
Yes. Short answer, yes. Um, he proved last year that he was one of the most important players on the pitch for us, and because of that, I think he had the fourth or fifth most minutes logged by a United player. Most of the preseason matches, him being gone and Azira taking his place when Azira hasn't played much with these guys, partly because he was gone for a while, and then we just didn't see him there towards the end, in the matches that we could watch, anyways. And you could tell he just wasn't on the same page as everybody. He looked a step behind or a step ahead. He wasn't connecting on offense. He did good on defense. He was stout defensively for the most part. It was just bad turnovers by him and Guzman left and right. And so you put Tenari in there, and I think it gives you a much more consistent and better connection between the back line and the front line with the ball, anyways.
Did I just hear you not praise JPG?
I never praised him. I just don't slander him like you do. Like, I was
Look,
watching
look,
it when
look.
I rewatched the match. I was watching it consistently, and he passed the ball backwards 90% of the time. And there were several times where he would get the ball and could turn and just would have acres of space in front of him, and instead he passed it back. And I kept screaming at my phone, going, "What are you doing?" I understand how we want to play, and I understand the slow buildup, but with him and Azira both doing that and neither of them looking to attack, it puts so much pressure that in like the 30th minute, you saw Amando start dropping way back to try to pick up the ball on the RGV side of midfield to turn and go up. And because he had to do that, it took one of our better attacking players out of position where he could create more like we have seen in the past. And it was really just hard to watch in that case. So no, I'm not praising him because I never have praised him. I've just said you slander him too much.
Look, look, look. If there was a two-man sports Mount Rushmore based off of this podcast, yours would probably be Patrick Mahomes and freaking JPG.
What are you talking about? Do you even listen to the podcasts? I don't understand. Real quick, guys, real quick,
Do you
because
even
we've
listen? Do you listen to what you say?
real quick, Wilker, real quick. Eh, we've got a gentleman in the chat, Aaron Reeder. I know him from Facebook. He asked us a question a long time ago, um, and I don't want to lose him. So let's. I want to talk about some positives since we've been semi-negative on this thing, and then you guys can do whatever you want to do. But he does ask, what positives did you take away from that first match? And Seth, you haven't talked much, so I'm going to throw the ball to you and let you talk about some positives if you have any, Mister Boomer.
So I saw the question from Aaron in chat, and Aaron, thank you so much for being here and throwing that question out to us. When I saw your question, I kind of wanted to break it down to a couple different areas. We've already been talking about the midfield a little bit here, and there are definitely some negatives to look at for sure. You look at the press that RGV had, and we weren't necessarily handling it well. From watching how we were passing the ball, from our movements, from our touches, it was just really hard to kind of get into it. And we saw something throughout the entire first half. We were talking about in our group text. The referee kept blowing his whistle. The pace of play kept stopping. About every 2 or 3 minutes, the play was stopping, and we know that's not something that we deal with very well at all. We never have, and I don't think we necessarily will do that well, but I think we can make some adjustments there. And I think you saw that a little bit in the second half. We adjusted a little bit more to the pace of play, to how prevalent the whistle was in that match. And then I also think if you look at our defending, I think our defending was pretty good for much of the second half. Um, and I think a lot of that has to do with Kalen being back there. Kalen's movements were really well. Austin had a fantastic match. Um, I feel like Austin made a number of different plays throughout the match, particularly later in the game, that kept RGV from getting good looks or getting open chances inside the box. And so I think that's where our biggest positives are for me, is there in that back three. That's particularly with the play of Austin. And I think that's just going to be tremendous for us going forward.
Yeah, what about you, Earl?
So there's a couple positives I saw on the field. One, I mean, obviously we found out who goalkeeper is. That's a positive.
Yeah.
The fact that it was one fluke shot away from being a clean sheet, because 9 out of 10 times that stupid damn shot does not go in. As much as Jacob disagrees, he also agrees that JPG's on Mount Rushmore.
What? Why am I getting attacked? I don't understand.
Carrying on. The other positive I saw is that we didn't really give up, even though we went down in the 65th minute, 66th minute, something around there. We still kept trying. We still kept getting or attempting shots on goal. We still kept pushing until we would do back passes and then just kill the entire vibe. I think the overall positives I saw was soccer's back.
Positive, Earl. We're positive. Yeah, that's a great point. Is that we did get to watch an actual United match um, for the first time in several months, and but other than that, yeah, Tambakis played his ass off, and we know my feelings. Well, you two do. The listeners, if they're coming in late, might not. But I'm I'm not a Tambakis fan. I just really like Philip and really want him to shine and think that he can. So not seeing him start, I was pretty disheartened. And then seeing Tambakis have just an otherworldly performance, it was obviously the right call to have him start, but it does make me feel bad for Big Phil over there and his
See, my
possible
thing
lack of a
about
chance.
Phil is I want to feel too, reader. Aaron, I did too. I don't want him to go and become a Bamburi, where he shows he goes on loan to another club, plays his ass off out there, and then winds up signing with a different club. I mean,
Yeah.
I love Phil to death. I want him to be our starter, but I'm I feel like Alex is writing my script here because I like Alex. I mean, Aaron. I think Aaron is writing my script because I like Alex too. I mean, he's up for goal of the week for save of the week. If you guys
Yeah, and
haven't seen that, you guys need to go
he
vote.
he could have had a couple other nominees for Save of the Week. He
Yeah,
made
he played
he
his
made a
freaking ass
yeah
off.
he made a handful of fantastic saves, and because of that, obviously, I'm not upset with the fact that he was in there. It's just goalie is the one position that it seems to be like you can't you can't rotate people and keep both of them happy because putting in putting in a goalie for the first half and then a goalie for the second half in the regular season is just not how it works. You want continuity back there and you want consistency back there. And so because Alex got this start and he shined, it just makes me think that Phil's not going to be seen for a while, barring an injury or just rest for a match maybe, which does make me sad for Phil. But Alex was the Alex and Yearwood were by far the two bright spots from this match. And then I think Brian Brown, he had the one play. Him and Brucey got on the right page. It was in the 86. Got the ball back. Brucey ended up with it. Played it through ball up over the top for Brown. Brown made a nice little cut back around a defender. Had a shot. Pushed it just a little wide. But you don't get that kind of stuff from Dev and Amando. You just don't. So his what's the word? What's the word? His explosiveness, his ability to create and strike quickly. You see it with Amando every once in a while, but Amando's not as imposing as Brian is physically and quickly. So I think both of them should be out there. And so I'm hoping that in this next match we see Brian get a start because he's done nothing but impress me from the moment we've seen him in the preseason, that we've actually seen him, because that first preseason match we couldn't really see him on YouTube. But those other two, he just every time he got the ball, every time he was out there, he impresses me. He is kind of Kevon like in his divaness, it seems like, from what I've seen, his body language and his ability or his willingness to go down easily, which we saw a couple times. But I will take that if he's putting the ball in the back of the net for us. And I think if he's given the opportunity, he will do that. So
See,
so
and
my three things are Alex, Austin, and Brian.
and I'm not afraid that Brian didn't get the start. Um, I'm not mad that if he wouldn't get the start. Brian's an incredible player, and I think he can bring that explosiveness in the second half when the club needs a leader and everyone else is tired and Dev needs a break. He can come in for Dev and not miss a beat. So he's Dev 2.0, where Dev goes off, Brian comes in, and we don't miss a beat, but we have that same leadership
But
and goal scoring
but
ability.
to me, Brian is a player that needs to get into the rhythm of the game and needs more than 30 minutes to do that. I think if he's in there for 60 minutes or all 90 minutes, you see him better in control of the game and a better feel for his teammates and what the defense is wanting to do. And maybe you see that shot go into the back of the net if he's not coming in cold.
So who does he start over?
I would have him over
Because
Dev.
I was impressed with the lineup we had this week, but for him
I
to take over someone
was
else's spot,
until we saw it on the pitch. I was until we saw it on the pitch. Dev was a non-factor in this game. And now you can chalk that up to the midfield being so bad and not getting the ball up to those forwards and giving Dev a chance to hold up play and do good things from there. But Dev had a handful of touches and very few of them were positive. So and we've had this talk for 3 seasons now, or 2 seasons at a match, that everybody loves Dev. I love Dev. He is a great person and a great player. I feel like we are at our best when he is not the main contributor up there. And I think that Kevon starting over him in several matches in week or in the first season, and Kevon contributing with goals, and then Dev coming in late, or Kevon and Dev being up top together, was it was better results offensively than anything we've had since then. And to me, Brown is probably a stronger version of Kevon, just physically stronger. And I think that he needs to be up there either with Dev or instead of Dev. So maybe you do something with a formation change and drop Mondo into a Cedro's spot, and then have Dev and Brian up top, or something. I'm not a coach. I've only watched soccer for 3 years, so um, maybe I don't know everything. I'll give you that. But to me,
Hang on, guys. Something happened with Zencastr there. It's really weird.
okay, I'm back.
All right. That was really weird. Like Earl's screen was like flashing green, and no idea what happened.
Aaron, I don't know if you're still with us. I don't. Oh, I see it flashing green on YouTube now. That's interesting. Anyways, and then we all gone. We're back. We're back.
Like a quick adjustment here to this, but yeah, I don't. That was really weird.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but we talked about it last year with Dev, and you talk about him or Troy possibly doing a tweak to the formation. Now, where I think Dev really shines, and has really happened here the first 2 seasons, is you play him in that. You may start with the two up top, but have him drop into that false 9 role. Give him tell him to drop down, drop a little bit deeper, to where he can take possession of it and then create chances for guys like Kevon, guys like Brian, and letting them get ahead and get those scoring opportunities more than Dev will. Now, that's not to say that Dev can't score goals. That's not to say that he can't finish, but I think that's where he really plays really well, is in that false 9, holding up possession, looking for guys, and then playing the ball forward again. Excuse me. For those guys to take those chances, and maybe we see that more. I don't dislike the idea of having Dev in there with really any of our other strikers. It's just a matter of feeding them, number one, and then number two, maintaining that possession and creating those chances. You talk about Brian and his shot there towards the end of the match. That was probably the best opportunity we had all night long. And Brian, just if he had waited maybe a half a second longer, got his feet under him a little bit more, because it seemed to me he was a little bit off balance when he took that shot and didn't necessarily get a good strike on it. I think if he had done that, it would have been in the net, from the movement that he made. And yeah,
it was actually our second best shot. Second shot.
You think so?
Because Cello had that one early in the game that was right on frame, but he just got beat by the keeper.
Yeah, actually, I think our best chance of the night was in the 36th minute. Yearwood clears the ball. It falls to Moreno in the midfield. At that point, Moreno had just started to move back. So he picks it up right at the circle on our side, and then turns and plays a perfect ball to Harry. And the keeper just barely beat Harry to it, just barely, and smothered it. But if there's any delay by the keeper, or if it's just if Harry's just a touch faster to it, he can either square it to a wide open Dev or get it up and over the keeper and in. So that was our best chance. And when I saw that, I got hopeful. But then from that point on, and most of the match before that, it was just nothing.
Yeah, that was another
So
good moment there.
do you think bringing Brian to start, obviously, over JPG or Cello, um, would help?
No, I I don't think Cello come. I don't think Cello or Juan Pablo Guzman come out. I think they are both really good at what they do if they have somebody like Tanari next to them, or if you were to bring Amando down and have Brian up top with Dev, and have Amando in that Wehan role from last year, where he's more of a playmaker and more coming to get the ball and then pushing it up and then doing good things from there. Whereas if you bring Brian in for Cello or Juan Pablo Guzman, you give up certain things that I think if you bring him in for Dev, maybe you bring him in for Isidro, or you bring him in for Azira if Tanari is still going to be out, and have Isidro move over to what Tanari would do, and then have Amando drop down to where Isidro was playing. Uh, I think I think there's a lot of different things that we can do. It's just a matter of if we do them and if it works. Because I thought I was like everybody else when I saw the lineup come out, I was like, yeah, I would change. I would tweak a couple things, um, but I thought we were gonna roll still, and it just didn't happen. So the best ideas can still fall flat once we actually get on the pitch.
How much of the loss do you attribute to the improved play? And let's be honest, RGV did look a lot better than the last time we saw them, 2 years ago. Now this was the first time there was an actual like win or loss in this series with them. How much of it do you attribute to the improved play of RGV, and how much do you attribute to us not being able to make plays when we needed to?
So I think we were rusty. Obviously having Azir in there who's never played a game with us, so there was some rust. Is the worst. Is probably the worst word to say about it, or to describe it. Um, I think RGV and the team and the squad that they've built. I mean, they've literally built it from ground up. 3 weeks ago, I think they had 0 players signed, and then now they have a full squad and a new head coach. Um, so I think the improvements that Ron has made out there in Texas, um, really speak volumes. I still don't think it's enough for them to contend. I think they just caught United on a bad night.
Yeah, I think that while they were better, they still lacked the quality that I feel like we should have. So to me, it was a lot. I actually look at this match and I think of a lot about the the first match from last year against Austin. Um, it was a match that we all feeling positive going into. Team just looked kind of discombobulated. We give up a penalty kick in that one. This one was kind of a fluke goal off a deflection. So similar situations there where you feel a little bit cheated by the fact that we gave up a goal. Um, and then Austin ended up being a pretty good team, not a playoff team, but a pretty good team. And I could see RGV being the same way. I could see us. I should give them more credit than I am, I guess. But it just it was an off night for United. It's something that we see every once in a while from them where they just don't have it, and you can almost tell from the get go. It seems like if we don't get off on the right foot and score early, or at least threaten early, then the guys seem to change their mentality a little bit and get a little stiff and a little tight and little or whatever you want to call it. So like you're like the ship will be righted. I'm not sitting here saying that the season's over. We might as well go home. It's just it was an off night, and RGV will be a tough out every time we play them. But I don't expect this result again.
So I kind of want to follow up on the JPG discussion from a little while ago.
Why,
I, I
sir?
pulled I pulled up his stats, and as we all know, the USL Championship website is absolutely terrible, and it's even worse now that you can't click on it. You can't go to individual players' pages. But since there's only been one match played, it's pretty easy to tell what JPG did on Saturday night. And he had 76 total passes. 20 of them went backwards, by far the most on the team. I believe the next closest was 9 from Josh Suggs, of all people. But uh, JPG's distribution was actually fairly evenly distributed. 19 forward, 20 back, 16 left, 21 to the right. So I think you are correct to say that when you're watching JPG, it did appear as though most of his passes did go backwards. But in the grand scheme of things, he was distributing the ball pretty evenly around the pitch. So you can't be too disappointed with that. But I definitely think that's something we don't want to see as much of, is that ball going backwards. You want to see opportunities being created and move and going forward. You want to see guys having that forward movement and getting people out of position without having to reset the play as often. But I think that's going to just about wrap it up for our recap of the RGV match. Of course, United did lose 1-0. Jacob, you got something else to add there?
I've got one more thing. I might have a new most hated player
Okay.
as far as an opponent. Rodrigo Lopez is a douche, guys. He flat out kicked Isidro in the nuts
Yes, we didn't even talk
multiple
about that.
times. Multiple times. Like you saw his foot move forward several times while it was right there. He obviously was trying to at least intimidate Isidro. And then not only that, just his antics all throughout the day were just freaking annoying. And he is now on the Salgado Asante
Yuma.
PC uh pantheon of annoying ass players to play.
Yeah, that kind of blew up on a couple different places. You saw discussions over on Reddit and in our own chat, and I think on Facebook as well. The assistant referee was standing right there. I mean, it was pretty obvious from watching the replay and even watching it live that that he clearly moved his foot forward or up into Cello, and it seemed pretty blatant to me. Like he could have easily just stepped over him, stepped out from between his legs, and gone on with the rest of his day,
or just not moved.
Yeah, or just not move. Let him get up.
Look. He was making a play on the ball. He was making a play on the ball.
Balls. He was making a play on the balls.
Balls. Tomato.
He just really annoyed me, and I'm happy that we get to face him 3 more times so that I can just hate watch the crap out of him for 3 more matches, as long as he plays in all of them. But I don't really have anything else. There were some bright moments, but overall it was just sloppy. And then the refereeing was questionable. You touched on it a little bit. There were a lot of whistles in that first 30 minutes or so. And then the yellow cards, there were more yellow cards for RGB, but the fouls were, I think, 19-11 in favor of RGV, to where we had 19 fouls called on us. And man, they the play where Ryden gets popped in the face, that's just not a good play. Like, I don't understand what that guy was doing.
What about the play where the goalie took down Swartz?
No, that was fine. Like I don't have an issue with that. The keeper came off his line, made a play on the ball.
So you mean to tell me, had we'll even play it nowadays, had Alex Tambakis did that at the lab against, hell, we'll put Phoenix in there. There's not a penalty called?
No, I don't think so. I
No,
mean, no,
there's
he clearly
there's
plays the
never
ball.
penalty calls on goalies. Yeah, there's never penalty calls on goalies in those situations. Even if he gets there before the ball or whatever, it just doesn't happen. So I and it, I you bringing it up surprises me because I hadn't thought about it one bit. And I watched that play 3 or 4 times to see exactly what happened in it yesterday when I rewatched the match. So no, I don't have a problem. And in fact, while we move on to the next topic, I'm going to look it up because I I vividly recall not caring whatsoever about it, but now you got me curious if I look at it again, if I'll be like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, you're right."
I'll be honest, it doesn't necessarily look great by how Harry goes down, but clean play. The keeper gets there ahead of him, plays the ball. I had it up just now again, looking through the highlights over on uslchampionship.com. But yeah, clean play. I don't have an issue with it. But all right, moving forward, El Paso is next. El Paso has not played a single match yet this season. This will be their season opener for them. Now, historically speaking, United and El Paso has always been a very chippy. I think that's the nice way to say it, a very chippy matchup between the two clubs. Now, there are still some familiar faces down in El Paso. Earl, what are you expecting from this? Are you heading down to El Paso by any chance to watch this one?
So I'm not heading down to El Paso. As much as I'd love to, it ain't happening. Um, but what do I expect out of this match? I expect it to be dirty. I really do. Judging by the way the fans are already, and El Paso fans are probably worse than Phoenix fans. El Paso fans are just ridiculous. They've already started their stupidness, and of course they did. Uh, Jacob's buddy Jerry, or whatever his name is down there, decided to start. No, Jacob, you can't deny it. Look, I know you guys drink coffee together and you guys have donuts together and
I
whatnot.
don't even know the
You guys
guy.
share you guys share beer recipes and shit like that. Look, it's okay. It's okay. I understand. Quite frankly, I don't like the guy.
I don't feel very united
He's an
with you right
annoying
now, Earl.
fan. He's an annoying fan, and it's just I don't even know why I get started with him on Facebook. I really don't.
Him and you just can't stay away from him and Vagina Plaster. It's just they're just magnets for you. And then you just get so angry that you see red and start talking out of your ass, and it's hilarious.
So yeah, so my takeaways or my upcoming takeaways is it's gonna be a nasty game, and I hope for the best.
Yeah, you heard it here. Earl is brimming with confidence there. Um, it sounded like he was about to cry when he said the last sentence there. I I, I don't know how chippy it'll be this one. It'll probably be pretty chippy. They still got Yuma over there. Um, they're still bad blood. The
They still
the
have a
fans,
penis for a goalkeeper.
though, the fans, yeah, their fans are always making fun of them. Anyways, um, yeah, yeah, it's it's going to be a good one. I think we see a different United team. I think we see a more aggressive United team, and I think it's going to be fun.
So I just pulled up last year's schedule, and as we know, we played El Paso 5 times last year. In those 5 matches, there were 29 yellow cards. Been 5 matches. So there is no love lost between these two teams. For the most part, a lot of our guys that are still with the club have gone through this with El Paso the past 2 years. Now, I think some of the more prevalent bad blood, so to speak, was from like Santi and Yuma and things like stuff like that. But it's definitely going to be. I think this is one of the USL like matches to watch for the month of
Mhm.
May, and I think it has the makings of potentially being one of those. Looking at this match, what does United have to do to come away with 3 points down in El Paso?
Score goals.
Yeah, they gotta be more offensive minded. But I think if I have to pinpoint one thing, the midfield has to be better. El Paso's midfield has always been solid, has always been good, and I don't expect that to change this year. So if United wants to come away with 3 points or even 1 point for that matter, um, the midfield has to be better because I expect if the midfield plays like it did against RGV, we lose by multiple goals, and it's not really close. Unless you have some outstanding individual performances up top from Brian or Amando or even Dev, where we get a couple goals. It would take that level of greatness from them in order for us to get points if the midfield does not look better. And and I think two things will happen. I think we either see Tanari or we see a different set of the three central midfielders there. And then I do think whatever the change is, there is at least some more attacking mindset. Obviously, not from Juan Pablo Guzman. Um, he will always be the backward king. But from anybody else that they put in there, I think they're going to have to look to attack more. I don't think you can have Juan Pablo and Azira in there again.
See, and I agree with you. Um, Obviously, you have to attack. You have to, especially with El Paso. I mean, they're a high-powered team. I mean, they constantly score goals. They did it in preseason here. They've done it in postseason against us. They've done it in regular season against us. They constantly score goals. Um, but I think the main takeaway is you cannot get flustered and let the refs decide the game for you. The moment you start playing into the ref and begging the ref for this call and begging the ref for that call and doing this stupid call and just letting the refs control your game, that's when you lose it. Especially in a emotional game like this, where we always play them. They're literally half a day's worth trip for us to go visit them. Um, the fact that they're so close and so closely competitive with us makes it even better. Um, so yeah, so my takeaway for that one is you can't let the ref decide who wins the game.
Much like us, El Paso's club, they have Mark Lowry, who's in his third season. They retained a lot of their roster from last year. Obviously there are going to be some names that people are familiar with: Ketterer, Rebellon, Salgado, Michak, Jerome, and some others. Who are the impact players for El Paso, and who do you see matching up well against them? Jacob, let's start with you.
Well, this is how little I pay attention to El Paso until we play them. I have no idea what they did this offseason. Um, I I thought I knew. I had some ideas, and then you asked me that question, and my mind just went completely blank. So I'm gonna pass it off to Earl real quick while I take a look at their roster.
Well, that's good because you better get some quick internet because I have a quick answer. Who cares?
Of course, of
It's El
course.
Paso. Who cares who they added, what they added? They could add a damn meteor for all I care, and it's not going to change my opinion of them. I 100% believe we're still the better team, and the mess that happened last Saturday was opening game jitters. That's all it was. Every great team loses their opening game more than one time, more than one time in a row. I mean, a freaking Super Bowl team, Giants Super Bowl team, lost their first four. lost her first 5 games, and went on to beat Tom Brady.
Okay,
that's
so
a
you're comparing
that's
us
a
to the
great
Giants.
reach
That's
there.
fantastic. That is insane. Okay, so I've got the roster pulled up. It's very similar. Very similar. I did remember that they added Solniak from San Antonio, which is a good pickup up there in the forward position. But I think it's going to come down to Dylan Mares, who's played with them. I know he was with them last year. I don't remember the first year. I think it was just last year.
Yeah.
Um, and then another guy that's on my Mount Rushmore of annoying ass players to play. Not Yuma, but Michi seems to be under a bit, and I think between him and Yuma, if he starts, and then a guy that I don't like to give credit to any El Paso players, but Macaulay King really impressed me in a lot of our matches with him. As he's a defender. If you didn't know that, guys, um, he he played really well, and he's not annoying. So if I have to pick a player on El Paso that I don't absolutely hate, it is definitely him. But other than that, it's going to be the normal guys. It's going to be Ryan. It's going to be Mares. I don't know who's going to start for them up top. They have Carrillo up there as well, and they've got a lot of talent up there uh, for their style of play. Their players wouldn't fit in our style, I don't think, but it's going to be interesting. Chapa Herrera's. It's a lot of the same name that just so annoying. What it means is that Seth is going to have to write about the same players for a total of 9 times in the last 2 years when all this is said and done. So have fun with that, Seth.
Yeah, we've definitely talked about that, and again, that's one of the negatives for the way the schedule is. But we're happy to have football, so that's the big takeaway. We're happy to have that. Yeah, you guys mentioned some of these names: Dylan Mars, Richie Ryan, Yuma, Matt King. I mean, El Paso has some talented players, and this series has always been very back and forth. No one's really dominated the other side. Now we did take a 4-1 win over them in the preseason. I don't know how much of that was academy, was it new signings, was it younger people, was it a full on 90 minutes of first teamers. We don't know. We don't know all the details of that match, but I think this weekend is going to be a lot of fun to watch. If you haven't watched this series so far, I mean, last year we went 1-2-1 with them. Um, it's gonna be so much fun. I can't wait to see it. For me, I think it's gonna be just looking at the roster without having seen them in action yet. Dylan Maris is someone that is going to create issues for us in the midfield. We have to be able to contain him and prevent him from getting open looks because he can shoot, and he can shoot from a distance, and we don't want to see that happening.
Yeah, so I missed something there. Did you say we beat them 4-1 in the preseason?
Yeah,
No, we lost 2-1.
2-1. What?
It was the very first preseason match,
Oh,
and we lost
why did I see 4-1? Maybe I was
2 to
looking at.
1.
Maybe that
I
was
have no
last
idea.
year. I saw 4-1
Maybe in
somewhere.
academy.
Oh, that was last season. My bad.
Okay. It was
I was
2 to
trying.
2 to
Yeah.
1 them in the preseason, um, which was the match that I believe Earl was at, and we could watch it on Facebook, but it was that low camera angle from like the back of a truck that didn't really lend itself to letting us actually see anything. So, um, yeah, it's
So
it's gonna be tough.
so to go off of the preseason, it was an academy player that scored,
Yes.
and actually I believe it was two academy players that scored because there was one unnamed one, and then one actual academy kid that had a name.
The other kid had a name too. We just didn't know it.
No, they said unnamed academy kid. Like that's exactly
So
what
his
Lucas Cash.
birth
Yeah, so his stat sheet is blank. Whoever the unnamed kid is, good job. Good thing you won't be playing us in the regular season. It was a one-time show, so that makes me a little bit more cheerful for what's coming up because there's the academy kids that are not scoring on us.
Earl with the hot takes, man. He just hot take king over here. Just I don't even know. I don't even know where to go with that, Seth.
Yeah, that normally we try to have nice little segues, but I don't even.
Normally Seth is the segue king over here, and Earl just has him so flustered with his brilliant analysis that that Seth's just like, yeah,
Yeah, no matter how you look at it, this is gonna be. I think this is gonna be a telling match. I think these are. I think between us and El Paso, and we've talked about it, I think we are going to be two of the playoff bound teams when all is said and done here in the Mountain Division. El Paso is going to be tough, no matter how many times you play them a season. Is it once, twice, four times, five times a season? It's always going to be a tough out. It's always going to be a very physical match, and I think we need to have the presence of mind to not fall into that, not get sidetracked and disrupted by the physicality. And there's going to be disruptions in play. We know that. We've got to overcome that. We've got to find a way to stay motivated, stay active, and create more opportunities for our guys in the middle and up top. And I think that's going to be the key for us. So we talked about, potentially moving Moreno down to like a cam position. And that's kind of where I had him in my lineup the other day. And I think, you mentioned that Weehan role, that Weehan spot on the pitch, coming out of the midfield. And I think Cello, whether you have Cello there or you have Moreno coming out of that spot, I think it's going to be fantastic for either of them, giving the opportunity to create not only for themselves, but for everybody else. So I can't wait to watch this match. Scoreline predictions. Earl, what do you think?
3-2.
Us for them.
come on, it's
Us.
Okay.
Earl would never pick El Paso. El Paso could be the best team in the Premier League, and we would be playing them, and he would say, "Nah, 4-0 us, no matter what."
Look, I am actually hoping that El Paso does not even show up.
Well, we're going down there, so I think they'll be there. But um, yeah, this one I struggle with. Um, I went from being so confident to being completely flummoxed and lost. I I'm gonna be the pessimistic one and go 2-2, uh, and say it's a classic 2-2 draw with El Paso because we seem to do that a lot.
All right. So lots of goals is what you guys are saying. That's my big takeaway from y'all's predictions. And while I'm hoping we get a lot of goals, I'm not entirely convinced after the RGV performance that we see score lines, like that 3-2, 2-2. I'm not convinced yet. I want to be positive. I want to say we will go down to El Paso and we get 3 points. I don't think we do, though. I think it ends up being 2-1 El Paso.
Oh, I thought I was being the pessimistic one, and then Baby Boomer over here has to come in and just slice our legs out from under us. Uh, I could see this match. The fact that the three of us have three different predictions for this match is really indicative of the fact that anything could happen in this match. Every time we play El Paso, that's what happens. It is a complete question mark as to what the result's going to be, and it could go any which way. So, I could see it being 2-1. I could see it being 2-1 either way. 3-2 offensively, unless we just flip a switch, isn't probably isn't going to happen. Yeah, I've talked a bunch this preseason about how we scored 3 or more goals once last year. And then what we saw against RGV, not uh, not not leading me to believe that the 3 goal mark is close. But I could see a 2-2. I could see an own goal in there for somebody. I I could see anything. I could see red cards. I could see it finishing with 9 men for both teams out there. I could see a number of different things. So the fact that we don't agree, because typically we do on predictions, at least the winner, is just it just screams to the unpredictability of these matches with El Paso.
Yeah. So if you're like us, sit down Saturday night, watch that match. Let me make sure I've got the time right here. That is Saturday, May 8th. Looks like a 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time kickoff. So
Yes, sir.
obviously ESPN Plus. Be sure to check that out. The match notes from last week said that the match was going to be broadcast on the 117 The Team, but I don't believe, after some comments from Andy Hageman, that they won't be back until the home opener. So, so Saturday night, 7:30, ESPN Plus. Before we close out our New Mexico United section of the show, there was some club news that came out this week. 2 more academy signings, Taylor Rogers and Stephen Romero. 2 more local kids, Albuquerque natives, both of them. The 21st and 22nd signings to the academy, respectively. I don't know how many more kids are going to add to the academy. I mean, at least now they can do a true 11-a-side training match. So that'll be fun to see. And I don't remember. I think they might have another match coming up soon. I don't have that schedule here in front of me, but keep an eye on the academy, see what they're going to do. And then also, it's been announced that later this week, I believe, the club is unveiling a new away kit sponsor.
Saturday morning.
Saturday morning. There you go. You can, I believe, you can see that in person down at the Civic Plaza. Correct?
Is it? I think they're having something at the store
club.
first.
At the store. Okay.
At the store
You can
first,
see it
and
at
then
at the store, and then you could wear it because you could buy the kit, and you could wear it at the Civic Plaza
Okay.
that afternoon.
Okay. I kind of got my signals crossed there a little bit because I know they've been pushing the Civic Plaza stuff as well, which apparently is, I guess, did really well last weekend. So excited to see that happening again.
It's a pretty fun place to watch. I didn't watch this one, but I watched the Minnesota Open Cup match back in 2019, and the screen is giant. It's clear. It's a good atmosphere. It's fun. So I think that's like the perfect place to do these socially distant match or socially distant watch parties. It's outside in the open air. You can have plenty of space. I think it's a great option, and I wish I could be there. I won't be there this coming Saturday. I probably won't make it for a few Saturdays because every Saturday that we're actually out of town, I'm on call, so I can't leave Fort Sumner. So uh, it's not a bummer though because it means that I can actually go to the home matches, which I'd rather be at the home match at the lab than a watch party at Civic Plaza, no matter how nice Civic Plaza is. So yeah, at 8 o'clock Saturday, they should be announcing. They will be announcing the new kit sponsor. You said away kit. Is this known for sure? Because I have not seen anything about it being a home or away kit for sure, and it it makes me wonder if Meow Wolf isn't going to be the away kit sponsor now, since we've already seen them in a Meow kit away kit already. And then whoever the new one is would be the home one. But I don't know.
My guess is that Meow Wolf stays as the home kit, and then since Crane Shares is no longer going to be the away kit sponsor, that's why I'm making the assumption that it's going to be a new away kit. Predictions on who
Right.
that new sponsor is going to be. I know that Dion's Pizza has been teasing a little something with the club, so I think it's Dion's. That's me, but are there any other possibilities as to who this new sponsor could be?
Well,
It could
real quick on the away kit home kit thing. I think that Crane Shares was the away kit because it was more of a global brand. Now that Meow Wolf is in Denver and Vegas and and not just in New Mexico, I could see them broadcasting that at away matches since there's multiple places that they could go, and then having something like Dion's or something along those lines that's more local, which they've already said it's going to be local, um, be on the home kit. But I don't know. We'll see. Uh, I just assumed since we saw the Meow Wolf on the away kit already, maybe that was indicative of the fact that it was just going to be Meow Wolf on the yellow kits from now on. But Earl, your guesses?
either obviously Dion's because that's kind of like the unanimous vote right now. But I think that they go with like Nusenda Credit Union or something super local.
Yeah, I'm not. I've seen a bunch of guesses out there on Facebook, um, and and the consensus seems to be between Nucinda, Dion's, Sandia Casino, and Blake's. I have seen nothing recently, anyways, to indicate Blake's is out there. So they seem like they would come out of left field. Other than, I know we had the cups. Um, I think in 2019, Blake's did some United Cups. In fact, I'm not drinking from one tonight, but I usually drink from one on the show. Um, but I don't see it being Blake's. I don't see it being Nucinda. Uh, they've had sponsorship deals, not with front of jersey sponsors, but First Financial Credit Union was obviously a big deal in the Minnesota flight a couple years ago. And I don't know. I just don't. I'm not feeling that one. And then Dion's and Sandia. Dion's a couple weeks ago or last week, they said that on the 13th they're going to be announcing something they've got cooking up with United. Well, this isn't the 13th, so I don't know if it is them or not. So my guess,
TLC.
and I'm not, I I think they're paying enough in sponsorships for everything else that they're getting shouted out for. So so I don't know. It to me it's Dion's or Sandia, and I'm hoping it's Dion's. I would much rather see a Dion's logo on the front of a kit than a Sandia Casino um, logo, just because I don't feel like casinos need exposure as much as like a restaurant would, especially in times of COVID. So hopefully it's Dion's, but my gut is saying it's Sandia.
Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see
All right,
what's gonna happen there. I just
my favorite. Go ahead.
no. I was like, go ahead.
My favorite guess on Facebook was Ron Bell, um, the attorney. I Somebody commented that, and I thought it was freaking hilarious. So that was my favorite out of left field. There were some people that said the Candy Lady and some other stuff, but my favorite was definitely Ron Bell.
I mean, are there any other local businesses that you can think of that would be a big enough name that they could go out and do something like that?
Not really, to to be completely honest. It's electric. Uh, some people said Electric Playhouse, but I was told from the New Mexico United Facebook operator, whoever that is, that Electric Playhouse is strictly a third kit sponsor. So that means we're going to have three kits and three different sponsors, which is interesting to me. But other than that, I can't. Uh, Nothing else sticks out to me.
I don't know. Yeah, we're just have to wait and see. Again, Saturday morning, it's gonna be a lot of fun, and then whatever happens next week with Dion's, it does say something just ahead of the home match. So I don't know. The club is pretty good about. I think all the reveals that the club has done have been well done, and I think that no matter what happens, I think people are going to be excited about it. That's just my take on it.
There,
Uh,
there, yeah, there was another one for Bosky Brewing Company, or
oh,
Santa Fe
that would
Brewing
be a good
Company,
one. Yeah.
or Marble. So I could see a brewery being in there. Um,
I would
I
not be
think
opposed to
also,
seeing ex novo.
yeah, that one was thrown out there, but I think they're probably too small at this point. I don't know what a front of jersey sponsorship costs, but I imagine it's a lot. So Bosky's a little bit bigger, Santa Fe's a little bit bigger. Marble's a pretty big deal, so I could see one of them. I don't know if it'd be ex novo. There was a comment that I also really liked that was Allsups. I think an Allsups logo on the front of a kit would be comical at least. Don't know if it'll actually happen. And then another one said Dogecoin, which I thought was funny, even if it's not local.
Lots of good guesses out there. Lots of interesting guesses. Again, just have to wait and see what happens this Saturday. So, lots going on with the club. A lot to talk about. We're going to be talking about United again over the weekend. We have tossed around the idea of maybe doing a watch along. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. Um, but I think that'd be a fun way to do it. We definitely have things planned for if we can be out at the lab starting next weekend when Austin Boulder in town. Jacob, before we end this first half of our show, do we have any updates from the club as far as being out there at the lab?
So nothing yet. I imagine it'll be much like the preseason. It was the week of that it started getting thrown out there, and emails back and forth, back and forth. So still not sure there. Hopefully, I I don't think we'll be shut out as far as media passes, but it's just a matter of if we can get all three of us in there, or at least two of us in there. Um, I don't want it to be two of us or one of us, because then some feelings could be hurt and some punches could be thrown as far as who gets to use them. So I'm hoping we just get three and that's it, and we don't have to worry about it. I would like four. I have a photographer that I've been in contact with that does sports photography that I would really like to get out there. But um, if we could at least get three, I'd be happy. Two would be okay. One would suck, and I don't think zero is an option. So I'm not even gonna fathom the chance that we get shut out completely. Somebody also on Facebook, this was recently, I didn't see this one, said Rude Boy Cookies, um, which I think also would be a pretty cool sponsor. And they just moved into a bigger building, and they are definitely New Mexico, small company in New Mexico. So they might be a little too small, but hey, I don't know yet.
Yep. And one last thing to mention before we do close out this portion, because of the new COVID reopening framework that is out there now, the lab will be open at 50% capacity, and the social distancing guidelines, I believe, have been reduced to 3 feet. So there are or have been a significant number of more tickets. Let me rephrase that. There have been significantly more tickets made available to the public for the at least the first couple matches, and I haven't seen a total number, but again, I think they're planning on 50% capacity, which is going to be a whole
Yeah,
lot of fun to hear.
I know the club was looking to add 600 more tickets each game,
Mm-hmm.
and I know the Ice Hopes were adding 900. With that being said, I did look at ticket prices, and someone hiked up the prices.
Yeah, I don't know what to
I
tell you about
hadn't
that.
I hadn't looked at I hadn't looked at prices this year. I looked at availability when the first round of tickets were for sale, before they sold out the first time. But I I'm not gonna be mad at it. Like,
Yeah,
they lost 8 games worth of revenue, or actually, technically, they lost 16 games worth of revenue last year. So making up a little bit of that, at least by raising the tickets, is is necessary probably in order to make things happen. So um, they'll still sell out. They do a good job of charity and giving tickets away and doing things like that. So I'm sure we'll see some of that this year as well. So I'm not worried about that. It's going to be
Well,
a loud
they did
atmosphere no
start
matter
that
who's
new
there.
charity already. They did already start that new charity too. Get the vaccine, get your ticket.
Yeah, that's not a charity. That's
If you
We're not
get
going
your
to go that way.
vaccine, you get a free ticket.
Yes, that's not charity though. That's
That is though.
It's not. It's not. It's like the Pepsi cans for Cliffs. Like bring this Pepsi can and get a free ticket to Cliffs when you buy one. That's what that is. It's just a
What
vaccine
what if
instead.
what if this the kit sponsors Cliffs?
Cliffs logo. Because to me, eh, half of it is sponsorship, and then half of it is what it would look like on a kit. Because for soccer, your kit is your front of jersey sponsor. Like that is what makes or breaks the kit. That's why we have some of the best kits in the world. Is that Electric Playhouse one that Earl is so awesomely rocking tonight? Which I didn't know that you would. Is that's not the tight one, is it? You got to returned it and got the other one.
I got it resized.
Good, good. Um, like that is an awesome front of kit sponsor. As is Meow Wolf. The Crane Shares one, while being random to me, looked nice. So I think that the majority of the kit is the front of kit sponsors. So when I'm thinking about this, I'm like, I don't want to see Nucinda. I don't want to see Blake's. I don't want to see. I really don't want to see Sandia's, even though their logo is actually pretty crisp with the little hummingbird. Um, I want to see that. I want to see that red Dion's font across the front of the black kit with the yellow Zia symbol coming down the side and the yellow tops up here. I think that would look spot on. But I don't know how I got back to front of kit sponsors. Oh yeah, it was because Earl said Cliffs. Um, what were we talking about? Ticket sales. That's what we were talking about. Damn it, Earl. I It's nice that they're opening back up sales, selling a few more spots. The more people in there, the louder it's going to be, and the more emotion that's going to be there, which honestly could help or hurt the club. I would not be surprised if it was an opening day loss, and we're so heavy in there. But we'll see what happens this week, and then I'll make my official prediction next week.
All right, there you have it, folks. That's going to conclude our New Mexico United discussion for this week. Jacob, get us out of here, and then we'll be right back to do some NFL draft review.
Well, we'll be right back in person. For those of you listening on the podcast, be on the lookout for it in a couple days, and then you can pick up right where we're going to leave off. So, guys, as always, it's a pleasure talking United with you. It was awesome to have Aaron Reeder in the chat, um, talking about it. He agreed with us on almost everything. So I don't know if that's saying more good things about us or some bad things about him. Well, only time will tell with that, I guess. So if you're listening to this and you want to be a part of it, we're live on YouTube every Tuesday night at 9:30. Have the discussion right off the bat, so you can get your United questions in and listen to Earl and I and Seth. Well, Earl and I make asses of ourselves, and Seth be the baby boomer of the group. So, um, or the curmudgeon, whatever you want to call him. But yeah, come and listen to us. Come and watch us. Come and interact with us. We like that. It shows that we're not just talking to ourselves. That there are people that enjoy our content, and in order for us to know that again even more, rate and review us on the podcast player, like and subscribe, and hit the bell on YouTube. Oh, Earl's going to chime in here. Yes, Earl.
Make that bell red.
Okay, Earl, with you you couldn't if you couldn't see it if you just watched this. Earl leaned in real close to his mic and said that semi seductively, and it made me very uncomfortable. But hit the bell, get notifications when we go live. It'll remind you every Tuesday night at 9:30 that we're going live, and you can hop on. And then other than that, man, check us out on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all Somos Mas or Somos Mas NM. Um, and then we also have a Somos Mas NM podcast, uh, Somos Mas NM Pod on Twitter. Um, and then, yeah, you can check out Seth and Earl on Twitter. All of us are on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I don't know if the other two are. Um, and yeah, and we will also have email addresses. Um, I got my email the other day to set it up. I just haven't done it. But eventually, you will be able to email us at our first name, so Seth, Earl, or Jacob, at somosmasnm.com. So we'd love to hear from you. Love to see you in the watch along with us on. If we do a watch along this weekend, we love to see you there. Otherwise, check us out next Tuesday night, like I said. And until next time, guys, somos unidos.
All right, YouTube, stick around. Don't go anywhere. We are going to start part 2 of our episode number 37. Normally, we talk about the biggest sports stories from around the week. And really, there hasn't been a whole lot outside of the draft. So, this will be our draft recap. Should be a lot of fun. Stick with us, and we're going to get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to. Oh, hang on. What is going on? Sorry, we're having a bit of a technical issue with our podcast recorder. Don't know what's going on there. Little unusual. It's not affecting YouTube at all, which is good, but wait on Jacob's video to load here. So for those of you out there in YouTube land, how are you guys doing tonight? Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic Tuesday night. I know it's getting late for some folks, but we record late Tuesday nights because of family time and things like that. And Jacob and I have small kids, so once our kids go to bed, that's when we can sit down and record. So,
And I am a small kid.
yes, Earl is still 14, by the way. But no, we have a lot of fun with it. We have a lot of fun. This new format's going to be interesting for us. So, and no idea what's going on with Jacob's internet tonight. It's usually Earl's that we have an issue with. So, I gotta ask you, Earl, while we're waiting, did you see any Major League Baseball news today?
Yeah, I saw that some suspensions happened with Amir Garrett. I saw that Javi got fined some undisclosed amount of money for instigating. There's something else that was going on that I kind of missed. I
Where's
wasn't
Earl?
really paying attention to it. It wasn't really important, really.
Why can't I hear anything?
You can't hear Earl?
No, is he in here?
Yeah.
I just see you.
Oh, that's just wonderful. Earl, can you hear
I'll be back.
Jacob?
Cool. Let me hop out and we'll try this again.
Okay. Oh, love this. Love it, folks.
Gotta love technology.
It's great when it works, but when there's issues, it kind of gets annoying. But if it weren't for the programs that we use, if it weren't for Zencaster, like we would not be able to do this show. So this is it's a big deal.
Earl. Earl.
Hey, there we go.
Hey, everybody. Family reunion.
I missed you, buddy.
I feel like you didn't.
Why do you hate me?
Why'd you two switch spots?
I don't know.
It has to do with the order that you
What's
join the
going on
call.
here?
Yeah, so like whoever joins first, like between the
Doesn't
two,
matter.
yeah, whoever joins first between the two of you, like you show up on the left, and then the other person shows up on the right. So, but anyway, all right, let's get into it, guys. If you're on YouTube, we are going to get into part 2 of our discussion. If you missed part 1, and we'll go through this in our in our uh, in our housekeeping stuff, you can watch the video back later, or you can get the podcast here within the next couple of days. So here we go. NFL draft recap. Let's get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Somos Mas, the official podcast of Somos Mas NM, and your source for the latest news on New Mexico United and weekly sports discussion from around the world of sports. My name, of course, is Seth, and joining me here tonight for episode 37, part 2, are Jacob and Earl. If you missed part 1, we discussed New Mexico United. We recapped the match week 2 loss to RGV. We previewed the match week 3 matchup against El Paso, and now we're going to get into just some generic sports discussion. Normally we would have a whole bunch of different stories that we would go through, but the big story from the week is the NFL draft. We all three have our favorite teams, and without giving anything away, we're going to get into the picks here and the actual, the draft itself. Without giving anything away, Jacob and Earl, how would you grade your team's draft?
Oh, I so want to hear from Earl first because he was livid on Thursday. I want to see if he's calmed down from that or not.
B plus.
Oh,
Wow.
wow. All right. I think if you'd asked him after Thursday, he would have said a D. But
So
apparently he calmed down and came to his freaking senses about
no. So
Thursday night.
I thought it was a C, maybe a C minus. Was I completely against the Micah Parsons or completely against the pick that the Cowboys took? No. Was I against the method that it came about? Yeah, because you just don't do that. You just don't. Like, there's that unwritten rule of baseball that you don't do what the Cowboys did. But then again, there's Jerry Jones. So yeah, so B plus, B minus ish, around that area, in the B range for sure.
I think that if I was grading Earl's draft, I think I'd be right around that area too. As for Tampa, it's hard to make impact in the draft when you're drafting 32nd after just winning the Super Bowl. But I think Tampa did that. I think the player in the first round, Joe Tryon, has a chance to be a good defensive player for us to our already pretty solid defensive line, at least this year, and has a chance to replace JPP if he leaves, or maybe Shaq Barrett if he leaves after this year. So I think it was a good pick. Actually, Shaq Barrett signed a multi-year deal, so I don't think we have to worry about that. And then we drafted our QB of the future, our Tom Brady, our next Tom Brady, uh, Kyle Trask out of Florida,
Shut
who
this guy up.
we talked about him a little bit in our draft preview a couple weeks ago. Uh, I'm not angry at the pick. I'm not thrilled with the pick. So I think I give him a B, maybe a B minus. I like some of the players that they drafted on late, from what I've read of them, but it's always easy to read about your draft players and go, oh yeah, they're going to be fantastic. When 2 days ago I had no idea who they were. So um, B B minus. That's where I'll leave it at that. Seth, we talked about your first pick um, a while back and how both of us thought you should trade down or take Justin Fields. Well, I thought you should trade down or take Justin Fields. That's not what happened, and I don't think you were thrilled about it. So what do you got for your team over there?
So I, of course, am a Falcons fan, and I was all on board with the trade back and stock up picks for the next couple years. And start the rebuild process. I was very much on board with that. Now, when we took Pitts, obviously I'm excited. Pitts is a fantastic talent. Pitts is he's described in many ways as a generational talent. And while I wasn't happy with the decision to not trade back and start to look towards the future, I felt like we grabbed quite possibly the best player in the draft. I can't. I look at all the other players around them. I look at the quarterbacks. I look at the running backs that went off in the first round. ATN and what's his name from Alabama, Najee Harris. I look at all those guys, and Pitts is by far the best player in the draft. And I give the Falcons an A. Like, looking at all of the picks that they made, I feel like they addressed some needs without selling the farm. And 10 years ago, we sold the farm to get Julio Jones. We very nearly did that, to get Calvin Ridley a couple years after that. And so I think to have a player of Pitts' caliber drop to us at 4 is just absolutely fantastic. And I was reading after the draft that the new Falcons GM and coach gave an interview, and they basically said that if you were expecting us to come in and want to do a rebuild, you're completely wrong. That's not what we want to do. And so, understanding now their draft philosophy and what they want to do, like, I think this is a fantastic draft for the Falcons.
Yeah, I don't hate the pick. As a Tampa fan and having a high school buddy that is a huge Falcon fan, and my hatred for the Falcons runs deep. The fact that I don't hate the pick really makes me kind of hate the pick, because I think the only thing that the only player that I would have been more upset with you picking as an opposition player is Justin Fields. I know. I think Seth might have said that he can go to hell because he's a Georgia Bulldog, but I don't care what he says about him. The kid is a winner, and I think that what the Bears did to move up to 11 to take him is a huge step in the right direction for that organization. It to me, it almost makes up for the Trubisky mistake, but time will tell on that one. I think that was my favorite move of the first round, and my least favorite move of at least the top 12 or so picks has to be Trey Lance going to San Francisco, just because I don't see how you give up that much draft capital to move up to 3 and take a guy who has 17 starts, period. Not just in college, but period. It's like 17, maybe it's 27. I don't know. The bottom line is he's so far behind every other quarterback in reps at a high level. He hasn't, you could argue that he hasn't taken any at a high level coming from the FCS. So to mortgage the future on pick is head scratching.
Yeah, I think the Trey Lance pick is one that definitely caught a bunch of people off guard. There was a lot of talk pre-draft they might fall to the Falcons and they would take him and start to look for the future quarterback to succeed Matt Ryan. Honestly, like I'm glad we didn't take Lance. I'm glad we didn't do anything. I'm glad that we didn't do that. But yeah, and you weren't sure. Lance did have only 17 games at North Dakota State. So, yeah, he's extremely inexperienced. Now, he is going to have a couple years to sit there and learn. I can't imagine them throwing him in season one, but stranger things have happened. I think
See, how do you not though? You just traded everything for this guy, and it's been proven that in the NFL, if you have a outstanding talent at quarterback on a rookie deal, that is your best time to compete, unless your quarterback is otherworldly, and it doesn't matter, like Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, if you ask Earl, because he doesn't watch football. Um, unless that's the case, then your only chance at competing for a Super Bowl is in that window. You saw it with the Niners with Garoppolo a while back. You saw it with Jared Goff and the Rams. Now, they didn't win, but they got there because they had a complete team around them because those guys were so cheap. So, how do you not mortgage the future for this guy and then have him sit on the bench for 1 or 2 years behind somebody that's not even that good in Jimmy Garoppolo?
Jimmy G is not that bad. Jimmy G, he's more of a game manager than some other guys that you would like to have out there. He's not a terrible quarterback, but I would not replace him with Trey Lance. And the other reason that you want to look at that and you don't want to necessarily throw him out there, I can give you 4 or 5 names that I think are going to be proof enough that you don't necessarily want to throw out that rookie quarterback, that young guy. Ryan Leaf, Jamarcus Russell, Baker Mayfield, Johnny Manziel.
Hey, hey, shut this guy up. Shut this guy up.
That was the sneakiest burn ever, and I loved it.
There's all these quarterbacks that have been taken that were touted as the next best thing, and they never turned into much, or like Ryan Leaf, a guy basically flopped out after, first season. Jamarcus Russell didn't last, I think, 2 seasons, I think Jamarcus Russell had. Baker Mayfield still yet to be seen,
Wait. Baker Mayfield took the Browns to a freaking playoff win.
Hey, I take the Browns to the Super Bowl every day, buddy. Doesn't make me a great quarterback.
But yeah, so I mean, and when you've got the opportunity, like you look at how teams have done it in the past. You look at Green Bay; they had one of the best quarterbacks of all time, and Brett Favre, and then they draft Aaron Rodgers, who again going to be one of the best quarterbacks of all time when all is said and done, and they let him sit there for 2 years, 3 years behind Favre before he actually before he actually stepped in.
Garoppolo's not Favre, though.
No, I'm not. Oh, no. Believe me, I am not saying Garoppolo was Favre. But if you have the opportunity, especially under Kyle Shanahan, to go out there and let this kid develop for a couple seasons, why not take that opportunity instead of throwing him out there and run the risk of him, tearing an ACL or getting a concussion there, rookie season after you said mortgaging the house, like why not give him a year or two to develop before you throw him out there?
And the fact that we're having this conversation is what makes them trading up for this pick so questionable in my head anyways. If you're going to be trading up and mortgaging that much of the future for a top 3 pick, you can't have question marks around that pick. It's got to be a home run pick. And from the moment they did it, I didn't know if there was a home run option there. Other than Justin Fields. I have Justin Fields as my second favorite quarterback out of this class, and as my third or fourth favorite player out of this class. And so the only way that I wouldn't be freaking out about this pick is if they took him. But from the get-go, it didn't seem like they were going to take him. Of course, we heard all the Mac Jones talk, who ended up falling all the way to 15, and the Patriots pick him. So, of course, he's going to be great, and we're all going to be wondering why he didn't go third to San Francisco just because he went to the Patriots. But it was never going to be Fields, which just made me question this trade from the get-go. And now that it was Trey Lance, I'm not hating on Trey Lance. Like, I think he has potential. Like, his ceiling is super high. His ceiling is Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes level ceiling. but his floor is like Baker Mayfield, Jamarcus Russell, Ryan status, and, that's and taking him in the top three. Seth is Earl. Earl is never going to live this down. This Baker Mayfield talk. It's just it's going to constantly just keep coming up, and it's quite possibly my favorite running joke that we have. Especially because every time we throw it out there, his face just goes, "What the fuck, guys?" And it makes me laugh.
Yeah, no, I don't think we'll ever get past this. And Earl, we love you. You know, it's just hard to it's hard to take it when you say that Baker Mayfield is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. You're saying he's better than Pat Mahomes. Like, I don't know. But then again, you are a Cowboys fan, so you probably think Dak Prescott's better than him too.
No,
I wouldn't go that far.
I'm thinking like that.
Look, I was more of
As
a
a,
fan
as a
of
fan
Andy
that
Dalton.
you're just depressed all the time. I go ahead. I can't wait to hear this statement.
I was more of a fan of Andy Dalton than Dak Prescott.
Again, Earl just stuns Seth and makes him speechless to where he can't segue to anything. He can't do anything. He literally just sits there with his mouth agape, wondering what kind of drugs Earl is on. And the answer is some good ones because as a feisty take right there, to match the feisty hair of Andy Dalton. So we're just gonna move on from there, guys.
So I mean, you
I
talked
mentioned
about
my most questionable pick.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say you talked about trading up for Trey Lance. What do you think caused the drop for Mac Jones? This was a guy who was talked about potentially being a top 2 pick, and then all of a sudden he drops to what was it 15 to the Patriots? Like,
yeah,
what happened there?
He's not that good. Like the talk of him going in the top 3 was. I'm convinced that had San Francisco not traded up, and the rumors come out that they traded up for him, he would have never been talked about as a top 10 pick. He would have always been looked at as somebody in the late first, mid to late first, early second round. And the speculation of him going in the top 5 never would have been there if it wasn't for San Francisco trading up and then somebody saying that they were going to take him. Once San Francisco didn't pick him, to me, it was obvious he was going to end up with the Patriots at 15. I didn't see another team trading up to get him. I didn't see any of the teams in those slots between 3 and 15 picking him. It just didn't make sense to me. So to me, he didn't drop. To me, he fell exactly where I thought he was going to fall, especially after San Francisco didn't take him.
It's because the NFL's rigged.
Go on.
What?
Again,
you see,
another speechless thing.
Bill Belichick.
Are you saying the Patriots cheated?
No, I would never say that. Of course not. I would never say that. If you're on YouTube, please look at Seth right now. But no, I would never say that the Patriots cheated. I do believe, however, they had some kind of say on who they can pick. And I also think that Bill Belichick set some kind of Ouija curse on every other team so that he can pick Mac Jones and make him the next Tom Brady so that this Mac Jones kid can leave the Patriots in 19 years and go on to the Buccaneers. Because everyone retires in Florida.
Okay. Earl.
Nope. I'm not listening. I ain't listening to this. La, 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 la.
The only thing there that made any sense that was even like close to being in the realm of possibility is Bill Belichick using a Ouija board, because
Hold on.
the
Out of, out of
NFL
everything I just
the
fucking said, that's the only part that makes sense?
yes, because the NFL does not cater to the Patriots. Like they have taken picks away for anything and everything. They took their third round pick away this year because of a documentary that they were filming where one of the camera people, no, that's what it was. Look, I don't like the Patriots either, but they it was B-roll for a documentary, and they filmed the other team sideline, and they took away their third pick, their third round pick this year.
Is this what Bill Belichick told you?
No, this is what's out there. Just
okay.
Open your eyes.
Just checking.
Right?
Just checking.
And
Bill's got Jacob on his speed dial, and they text during the off season.
Bill has Jacob on payroll, not even speed dial.
I wish. I wouldn't be living in a mobile home if that was the case, guys. Like, come on.
You're incognito.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's I have a house down in Cabo. I have a house down in Cabo that nobody knows are out.
You can't let everyone know that you actually work for Bill Belichick and he's actually paying you to speak right now.
Look, if they catered to them, they would have been way more lenient on a lot of things. Tom Brady was suspended for 4 games for
deflating a football.
He didn't deflate it. He might have had other people deflate it, but he didn't deflate it.
What's the difference?
So you can't tell me that if that happened to somebody else that they would have gotten more games.
He played a playoff game with a flat football.
Flatter football. Patriots and Tom Brady here. But you guys are backing me into this corner, and I'm gonna come out swinging. So you cannot tell me. You cannot. No. Listen, Linda. Listen.
Your boss got away with sexual acts in a freaking massage parlor because he's a billionaire.
That wasn't the NFL. The NFL didn't do that. That was the government, my friend. That was the government because of the conspiracy of all the rich people and politicians that I'm not going to get into.
But yet Ezekiel Elliott gets suspended for 6 games because he looked at his girlfriend the wrong way.
I legit don't know what you're talking about there. So I'm going to go back to defending Tom Brady and the Patriots. You cannot tell me that if that they would have been given more of a suspension. Would they have? If Ben Roethlisberger got caught, would he have been suspended for 6 games or 8 games? No, he would have been suspended for 4 games or less.
He was for the same thing as Tom Brady. For sexual assault.
That's not the same thing, Earl. Those are 2 different things. I'm talking about if Aaron Rodgers was caught deflating footballs, he would have been suspended for 2 games.
He would never do that.
Have you met Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, I have. And
Aaron Rodgers is the host of Jeopardy. He would never do a thing like deflate.
Yeah, how dare you? He's a fine character.
Okay, I can attack Aaron Rodgers if you want me to. I'm perfectly okay in that position.
He is filling in for the late Alex Trebek. Put some respect on the man's name.
He's a douchebag and a terrible teammate.
Jeopardy.
And
he also hosts Jeopardy.
Not a terrible quarterback.
Jeopardy.
Terrible quarterback if he's on your favorite team right now. Why are we bringing him off the field stuff? I don't care about Jeopardy anymore.
Whatever you think about Aaron Rodgers, he is a fantastic fantasy quarterback. I will say that.
He's a great quarterback. He's just a freaking crybaby, and he's annoying. And if I was anybody on the Packers right now, I would be pissed at him. Players or otherwise.
Okay, so you would be pissed at him even though the front office said they were going to trade him in the offseason?
Yeah.
Like, does he not have the right to be pissed off about that? I mean, the front office says, hey, we're going to trade you.
Does he not have the right to be pissed at the fact that the team that's paying him has not drafted an offensive player in 9 freaking years except for his replacement?
Yes. And you know why? Because they're paying him. It is a job. He is paid to be their quarterback.
You draft
Shut
offensive linemen.
Shut up and come be the quarterback that we're paying you to be.
Yeah,
And
then
then when
give
your
me an offensive
contract is
line.
over, then go be someone else's quarterback. Or at least do it in a way that's not such diva-ish. Do it in a way where it's like, hey guys, what the fuck are you guys doing? Get me out of here. Don't blast it all out. Not on draft day. On Thursday before the draft, you're gonna drop this? That was the
Yeah.
most attention hogging thing I've ever seen in my life.
Why wouldn't you?
Because you do it way before that so they can actually work out a trade during the draft or involving this year's draft.
Nope, the general manager said he was not going to trade him. Even if Jesus was on the board, he was not going to draft him.
Trade him. There's a better chance of something materializing if you do it a week ago or a week before the draft, I mean. And let him let the GM talk to San Francisco and say, "Hey, the third pick, what are you doing there?" Or somebody, Atlanta wouldn't need him, but to do something with those top 5 picks where in this case it was like, hey, 2 hours before the draft, we're going to drop this bombshell. Of course he's not going to get traded on draft night because there's 5 minutes left to go before you can work out any of those trades. It's the dumbest thing. Why are we talking about this? Why?
Why? I want to know. I want to know how much Bill Belichick is paying you.
0.
Man,
Giselle is paying me a lot, though. Giselle is paying me a lot, though.
Hey! My wife listens to this radio show.
What does that have to do with anything?
How dare you? They're kids.
We are off the rails, folks.
I'm saying that the Patriots are paying me through Tom Brady's wife. That's so it doesn't. Nothing shows up on the books for the Patriots this way. It's all under the table.
Well, yeah, exactly how Bill Belichick got away with, or Robert Kraft got away with sexual massages under the table.
Ba-dum-bum. There's a Deshaun Watson joke in there somewhere too. I just can't find it.
No. Deshaun Watson's innocent. Get over that one.
What?
Wow.
Carry on.
I think we've kind of been avoiding the whole Deshaun Watson thing for quite a bit, but wow.
And here's why I say he's innocent. If Robert Kraft can be innocent, why can't he?
Because you're crazy?
If
Robert Kraft wasn't innocent.
Look, if Ben Roethlisberger can
he wasn't innocent. He got suspended
for like a half a second, half a game. His suspension was the equivalent of missing a Monday morning meeting.
For a third time in a night, Seth is befuddled.
Deshaun Watson's a mess. Like that's a whole.
He's not going to play again.
I don't think he will either.
Yes, he will. He will wind up playing for the Dallas Cowboys because they signed all the convicts.
Boy, that's a joke from the 90s.
Right?
I'm sorry, Earl, you may not be old enough to know that, but
he won't. Earl looks. I don't know. He just. How do you have that many hot takes in an episode? That's insane. Let's get back
Look,
to
I was off last week.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
A lot of time to practice.
That's true. Let's get back to the draft.
Yeah,
let's get back to this year's draft.
Getting back to draft talk. So Justin Fields obviously one of the better talents, and he is a UGA guy. I wish him a torn ACL. But the Chicago Bears.
That's not nice. That's actually like that's like not even Exactly. There it is. There it is.
To hell, to hell,
I
to
don't
hell with
I don't even wish
Georgia.
I don't even wish Logan Ketterer a torn ACL. Like that's
I do. I do.
well
I do.
maybe
Fuck Logan
maybe.
Ketter.
Anyway, Chicago Bears.
Fuck Phoenix.
They draft Justin
There we
Fields,
go.
and over the offseason, they signed Nick Foles and Andy Dalton. So you got a menagerie of quarterbacks up in Chicago right now. Who is your starter if you're
Field starts. Field starts hands down.
Nope.
There's no question
It's
about
already
it.
it's already been said. It's gonna be Dalton.
You can't. They said that before they drafted Fields.
No,
They
they
haven't
said
even
that after.
they haven't even seen Fields on the field. Completely intended there, and and look, this is what happened. This is what's going to happen. I called it 7 years ago. Whenever Russell Wilson was drafted, Russell Wilson got drafted. They just paid Matt Flynn a boatload of money, just that great there. And it's the same situation here. Justin Fields is by far the better quarterback over either of those two, and will start week one for them. I'll guarantee it right now.
all right? So if Justin Fields does not start week one, what happens?
I guess Andy Dalton does. What do you want from me?
Well, according to Bears Wire over at usatoday.com, the Bears believe they can win at least 10 games with Andy Dalton in charge this season. So
Told you.
it doesn't sound like Fields is going to necessarily be starting.
They just drafted the kid. It was the same thing in Seattle. It was all that they just paid Matt Flynn. Matt Flynn's our guy. Matt Flynn this, Matt Flynn that. And then they got to preseason and they got to training camp and they said, oh, wow, Matt Flynn kind of sucks compared to Russell Wilson. We're going to have to start Russell Wilson. It's going to be the same thing here.
Would you want Justin Fields learning behind these two guys, or would you
No, that's why he's starting.
Do you think they bring in someone
ladies
else?
and gentlemen listening on YouTube, Jacob is crazy because it was not Matt Flynn.
Yes, it was.
You, sir, are spewing fake news.
Who was it then?
Matt Hasselbeck.
No, it wasn't. It was Matt Flynn. It was the backup quarterback for the Packers who played like 2 games and kicked ass in those 2 games. And Seattle was like, here's all my money. Come be our starter. And then Russell Wilson took over. I don't even have to wait because I know I'm right. So to answer your question, Seth, I don't want him learning behind those 2. I want him playing in front of those 2 because he's the better quarterback already. So what is he going to learn? He can learn some things from them. Don't get me wrong. Nick Foles won a freaking Super Bowl for Christ's sake somehow. I don't know how, but he did. And Andy Dalton has been a serviceable starter for 20 years now, it seems like. So there's stuff that he can learn. I just don't think he can learn it behind them. I think he learns it on the pitch with their giving him stuff as the season goes along.
I think my concern with Fields is him. Well, okay. Let me rephrase that. The Bears looking at their season. If you go into it with Andy Dalton as your number one, how much of a leash do you give him before you look at moving to either Foles or Fields? And how much do you trust Fields behind that offensive line?
Their offensive line isn't bad. The problem the Chicago Bears had was Mitchell Trubisky was Baker Mayfield level bad. And just could not hit the broadside of a barn with a football. You put in Justin Fields, He's still got Allen Robinson. They have a decent line. They've got a couple good running backs. It Matt Nagy is gonna do better with him than Mitchell Trubisky because they're not going to be scared of Justin Fields doing something that'll cost them a game like Mitchell Trubisky. And they're going to let him do something, and he's going to be able to hit Allen Robinson is going to be the happiest he's ever been because of Justin Fields.
Yeah, Allen Robinson is one player that could definitely benefit from really from honestly from whoever's there, just in terms of fantasy value and on field production. I don't know. I have this thing about rookie quarterbacks coming into the league and expecting them to produce year one. You have to be a tremendously talented quarterback in order to do that. You look at guys like Pat Mahomes or, um, like Philip Rivers had a pretty good rookie season if I remember correctly. You look at some of these guys, and it takes a lot to be successful in the NFL, especially at the quarterback position. And so that's why these guys that are going in the first round, like you mentioned earlier, Jacob, like they have to be a sure thing. And we haven't talked about it yet, but the Jacksonville Jaguars have hit on what appear to be a number of sure things this season in the draft. Picking up Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne both in the first round. I mean, can you think of it? Is there a team out there that had a better draft than the Jaguars?
Yes. I do not like the ETN pick. I don't hate it. I'm just very much in the camp of don't draft a running back in the first round. I don't care who it is. I don't. Derrick Henry, who's probably the best running back in the league right now, isn't worth a first round pick to me. So to have somebody be a first round pick, it would have to be like peak Adrian Peterson levels from year 1 to year 5 in order for it to be worth it. And that's just not going to happen. And then for you to draft him and then turn around and say, yeah, he's going to be our third down back. So you drafted a guy who is going to be on the field for a third of your offensive plays with a first round pick. That doesn't make sense to me. So I don't like the Najee Harris pick either. And it's not that I don't like these players. I think Travis Etienne and Najee Harris are good players. They're just not worth a first round pick, especially from a point of view with Pittsburgh, for instance, with a Najee Harris pick. Their offensive line is a joke right now. So I don't care who you put back there to run the football. They can't run behind somebody, or they can't run behind something that is jelly and is going to get them destroyed. So Jacksonville has a better offensive line, so I'm a little bit more okay with it in that line. But unless ETN comes in and is an every down back and is otherworldly, it's just not worth the 26th pick, I think it was. So that's my problem there. Other than that, Trevor Lawrence obviously is going to be great. They drafted a tackle in the third round. I believe it was the third round. Who is projected to be pretty good. So they had a very good draft. Could have been a little better in my opinion.
All right.
I would have rather seen a wide receiver come off the board there than a running back.
I get that, and with the way that the league has gone, how it's definitely a much more pass-friendly league, pass-happy league. Drafting a running back at any point is kind of a risky proposition. But you look at Harris and Etienne, and there are far and away the best two running backs in the draft this year. So I don't think you're going to have as much risk with guys like them as we've seen in years past with some of the talent that has come out out of college. So I think there's a lot of room for those two guys to be extremely successful wherever they end up, whether it's their drafted teams or where if something happens later on in their careers. I think both of them can be tremendous assets wherever they are. I know it's getting late. I do have one final question for you guys, and if y'all have anything, you can add them on afterwards. Do you feel like your team was successful enough in the draft and many of addressed their projected offseason needs?
Yes, I think the Cowboys addressed what they needed. They did get two linebackers, maybe even three. They did get the steal of Jabril Cox from LSU, who's a really good linebacker. Um, they got themselves their cornerback in Kelvin, whatever his name is. And yeah, I think the Cowboys addressed what they needed and kind of got some bargain for it too.
Yeah, Tampa didn't really have any holes, at least glaring holes. So we had the luxury of just kind of doing whatever, shoring up positions that could end up being a little thinner than others. And then I like the second round quarterback pick, not so much because of who they picked, but I just like that they were at least trying to think about the future ever so slightly. Um, if there's any quarterback that I'm okay with a rookie sitting behind, it's Tom Brady and having Bruce Arians as the coach. So if if by some chance, because I know that Brady and Garoppolo didn't really get along from what we've heard, but that was a much younger Tom Brady, and it was a move that Tom Brady didn't they didn't talk to Tom Brady about, and I'm not sure they talked to him about this one, but in Tampa Bay. So I can't imagine that they were like, "Hey, we're just going to draft this guy, and we don't care what you think." I have to imagine they were like, "Hey, Tom, what do you think about us drafting this kid? He's not going to threaten your position or anything like that. He's just kind of there as a backup, and then you know that's about it." And Tom would be like, "Yeah, sure, that's fine, whatever." So I think he'll be more open to helping this kid and not being so standoffish with them. So I like the pick. You get into the later rounds. I think that they had some good later round picks. They had I I, I think Mr. Irrelevant could actually make the roster as a linebacker. So we'll see.
So real quick, Jacob, you said that Tom Brady was a much younger man when the whole Jimmy G situation happened. Brady was
Mhm.
36 when Jimmy G was drafted. Like, was he
Yes,
really?
and he's
Exactly. He's like
43 now.
48
That's
now.
much younger. Yeah, that's
I
my.
mean,
I wasn't saying he was a young man. I didn't say that he was a prime of his life man. I said he was younger. And when you're Tom Brady and you want to play till you're 45 and you're only 38, that's 7 years there that you still want to play. And you're looking at it like, why did you just draft this rookie quarterback? I'm going to play for 7 more years. Whereas this year, he's 43, wants to play till he's 45, maybe a little bit longer, but he's not going to want to play till he's 50. It's not 7 years down the road that they're looking at, that he's looking at. So point still stands. He was a much younger man when they drafted Jimmy Garoppolo. He was
well,
not young. He was much younger.
at that time, it's just Brady's 36, 37, however old he was when that draft happened. You can't expect him to play for that much longer. So for them to draft Jimmy
He
G
was
and then
screaming at the top of his lungs that he wanted to play longer, though.
it doesn't matter what he says. Like, if you at that
It does if it's
age
Tom Brady.
at that age, there is a significant drop off, if not earlier, in production. And so the Patriots are at that point we're trying to prepare for the future. And whether Tom decided to play for another decade or not, you know, he should have been more open to helping develop Jimmy G, give if to help prepare for the fact that he may not have been around for forever. Like it's not like he was it's not like he was a 28-year-old kid who's suddenly getting replaced by,
But
someone just coming out of college.
but in Tom Brady's mind, he was. In Tom Brady's mind, he was going to be there for a lot longer than Jimmy G was. He he was in Tom Brady's head. They brought this kid in to replace him when he was still in what Tom Brady felt was the prime of his career. He has his arguably his best win of his career after that point against the Falcons. It was still peak Tom Brady. It's just that Tom Brady is such a freak of nature that nobody could have seen this coming.
That
The
was not
Patriots
peak
couldn't see
Tom
it
Brady.
coming.
That was the failure of Dan Quinn and that defense. That's what that was. That was not peak Tom Brady.
I don't know. Watch it again. I know it probably hurts your soul to watch it again, but watch it again. Um, he he was spectacular after the Jimmy G pick. There's nothing else that you can say about it. So in his head, he was pissed because he was planning on playing a lot longer, and they drafted this guy ahead of him, or to replace him technically.
All right, enough Tom Brady
So
talk.
I understand your argument. It's just Tom Brady defies all logic when it comes to age and football.
Yeah, he defies a lot of things when it comes to football, age, rules, you name it. It's just one of those things. Some guys get away with it, some guys don't. But moving on, we heard you guys just talk about how you felt your team did as far as addressing their needs. I think the Falcons did a fantastic job. Focused primarily on the defense, had a couple offensive players, a couple offensive linemen, and then a wide receiver. I mean, defensively is where we struggled the past few years, especially with depth and then injuries. And so I think, especially Darren Hall at San Diego State, I think he could be a tremendous talent. I think you could see him starting in like a nickel or a dime set, and he could make an impact from the very beginning. So yeah, I think the Falcons did a fantastic job addressing where we were in desperate need of some help. So
Yeah. So basically, we don't know anything about the draft until 3 or 4 years down the road, and we're all just speculating. But it's fun to speculate, especially. It was nice this year for me not having a top 10 pick and not really caring about the draft. And then it was really nice during the first pick when good old Roger Goodell comes up there and says, and with the 32nd pick, the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay select Joe Tryon, outside linebacker from whatever school he was from. That was good. That was nice for me. So you guys have your top 10 picks, and I'll take my Super Bowl ring and we'll go home.
Hey, I didn't have a top 10 pick.
Yeah, you traded out of it,
Yeah, so we're not top 10. We traded out of top 10.
but you couldn't have traded out of it if you didn't have it in the first place. So you it was nice to hear the boos in person again. That part was fun too.
all right, I think that's gonna just about wrap it up for us. That was our NFL draft recap. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you guys so much for watching here on YouTube. This again, new format tonight. We did our New Mexico United discussion in the first hour or so, and then we got into our NFL draft here. You will see 2 episodes dropping in your podcast feed later this week. The first of which will be the New Mexico United discussion. Thank you guys for hanging out tonight. Jacob, get us out of here.
Yeah, guys. First of all, go buy Dogecoin. Second of all, I, so I'm in a group chat. You guys are looking at me like I'm crazy, so I got to explain just a little bit. I've got 2 guys that I used to work with when I worked in Albuquerque. Um, when Dogecoin was a percent of a cent, a buddy of mine and myself and our other buddy bought into it a little bit. One of my buddies bought into it significantly more than the other two. I held on to it. I sold it. I got it back. I sold it. I got it back. Bottom line, he's up like more than I want to say on this podcast, and I'm up very little. But it's going up, and I want him to do good. So he's got a crap load of shares in it. So he could be a Bitcoin type story if Dogecoin keeps going up. And I like him and his family. So go buy Dogecoin, get that price up for everybody that has some. Other than that, I enjoy talking sports with you guys. I uh, I don't enjoy Earl's takes sometimes, but they are what they are, and they make me laugh, and they make Seth speechless, which is hard to do. So I enjoy that part of it. Like Seth said, you can catch the United portion in a couple days in podcast form, or you can rewatch this video once it gets finished up here. And yeah, and then next week, I don't know. I can't think of any major sports topics that are going to be happening, but we'll see if something happens. If Aaron Rodgers is traded, if Deshaun Watson is found innocent, whatever the case may be, we might pop on and say something about
When
that. That's still the hottest take of all the hot takes tonight. Um, we'll see what next week brings. One thing I can tell you for sure is next week at 9:30, we will have United talk here after the El Paso match and previewing the home opener against Austin Bold. So come back for that. If you don't care for the United talk, um, probably come back about 10:30, 11, somewhere in there, uh, and we'll catch up to speed on any other sports talk that's out there. So you can find us on social media, which at this point it should be pretty obvious. Somos Mas NM across all platforms because we were able to get it across all platforms, which is awesome. And hit us up on there. You can email us soon at Jacob, Earl, or Seth at somosmasnm.com, or just social media DMs, whatever. Doesn't matter to us. You can come by and chat with us on YouTube. You can do whatever you want. Just we love your feedback and we like hearing things from you, hearing how we're doing. So rate and review, like and subscribe. Um, do those things that everybody else tells you to do because that's how we reach more people. And for all the jokes that we have on here and all the fun that we do it somewhat for ourselves, just to have this conversation. But we want fans to so do all that stuff. Let us reach some more people, and I mean we're not looking for money here. It's not. We just do this for fun. We everything that we provide for you comes out of our own pockets, and we're okay with that. So just share share it on social media. Listen to it multiple times. Listen to it with friends in the car. I don't care. Just get the word out there. And Earl, go ahead and pitch in. I know you. I can. No, you're good. You lost it. Okay, never mind. Um, yeah, that's about it. It's late. We're gonna go to
carry
bed.
on, carry on, carry on.
I was until you interrupted me again. Um, it's late. We're gonna wrap it up, guys. Uh, next week, 9:30. Be here. And until then, somos lindos.
All right. Zencaster
I should probably
is
end that
out.
podcast differently.
Maybe. We can figure that out. But
I I got it. I got it. I'll figure it out next time.
okay.
I know what I'm going to say next time.
Sounds good. So, all right. Yeah, that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching, hanging out in the chat with us. Like Jacob said, we will be back live for sure Tuesday night, 9:30 Mountain Time, discussing New Mexico United. We'll have a full recap of the El Paso match. We'll look forward to the home opener against Austin Bold, where hopefully all three of us will be there in person. If we are, we're going to have some stuff for you guys. some stuff that Jacob and I have been kind of been talking about doing. So again, hopefully we're out there. We would love to be there, and we can get you guys some live content from the lab. But again, for Jacob, for Earl, myself, thank you guys so much for watching, being in chat. Again, the podcast will be live in your feed later this week. Again, 2 episodes, and thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to again subscribe to the channel so that you get updates as to when we go live or when new content drops here. And we will see you guys next